For today's video, I'll be going over my top 6 predictions for the defenders in Supercoach 2021. It's a nice day today, so I thought I'd sit outside and discuss, and had a lot of fun doing this list, because lists are always kind of fun to do. But I think with the defenders, we're spoiled for choice this year. There's a lot of picks that, I'm not going to talk people out of, and a lot of acceptable starting picks. For me, I have my preferences, but obviously with price and stuff like that, you can't kind of fit them all in. But some of them present upside as well. So my number 6 defender is actually, this might be a surprise, but I have Brodie Maynard pegged here. So I have him at, I've written down 103 average. Like the way he plays. He's a small defender, but seems to win a lot of the ball. Can take a few kickouts, although I did see him have a few blunders there. In the later half of the year, watching him a fair bit, he seemed to be pushing up the ground a bit more. I know he has ambitions to be, 2 years ago he said he wanted to be a midfielder eventually. I haven't really had any indication of that in recent times, but that'd be great if he just randomly went in the midfield. Especially with Collingwood's midfield deficit at the moment. It seems to be Adams and Pendles and a bunch of kids, I think. I just like the way he plays. And the one thing, he takes intercepts as well, which is great. But with Maynard, is one of the most important things I look for in Supercoach is, how they are, as people, if that makes sense. So their work ethic, their competitiveness. And for me, he's one of the most competitive players watching him. He never wants to lose, leaves it all on the field every time. So I like that about Maynard, and that's why he had a consistent year, because he's competitive every game, turns up. So I don't mind the Maynard pick because he's a little bit unproven. I'd prefer to keep him as an upgrade target. I think it's fine if you want to pick him. But I do like the Maynard pick. At number 5, I have Luke Ryan from the Dockers, and I have him at a 106 average for this year. So give or take a few points, but still just where I think he'll be roughly. He's one of the best intercept markers in the league, and it seems with Pearce and Hamling coming back, I believe, for Fremantle, that should free him up to not have to take one of the better key forwards. So you'd think that'd be a good thing. So still takes kickouts, taking the intercept marking as well, wins his own footy, almost perfect for Supercoach. Always been an injury risk slightly, Luke Ryan, which is one of the reasons why I've ignored him for 2 years now. Played every game in 2020, so that's great, I guess. With Ryan, the thing that annoyed me about Ryan is I didn't have him last year, pretty much ever. Back when he was a rookie, I had him a few years ago. But I had Haynes and Ridley last year, and the opposition would often put time into Ridley and Haynes, and it's very frustrating because they'd drop like a 40 or a 50 just because they'd stop kicking to Ridley or Haynes, or they'd tag them. Ryan never got this treatment, and this was very frustrating because I'm sounding a bit salty here, but he really should have had games where he was taken out of the game. I really hope that happens because I'm not going to start him this year. But nonetheless, he has a really, really good Supercoach friendly role. If you want to pick Ryan, you want to start him, I don't really see a problem with it. Very good player this year, and I think he can average a bit more than that. The 4th player I have on this list is Luke McDonald. And if you followed the channel this year, I'm a big fan of Luke McDonald. His back half of 2020 was fantastic. Completely tore up the best and fairest, winning 4 out of 7 awards on the night. But similar to what I said with Brodie Maynard, the competitiveness, that's what he has. And he's only kind of had it for a year now, but it seems to be carried over through the preseason. He's already saying he wants to be the best defender in the league, which gives a strong indication that he's going to play defense this year. And I have a video on Luke McDonald, so there's an extremely high chance that he plays that role he did in the back half. I would say probably 90-95%. Always just slight risk with a role change, but I believe Nightmare commented on one of my videos, and he was saying that McDonald pretty much needs to be used at halfback out of necessity. I know North are trying, but just because they don't really have any other options, and I know they're trying Zeeble at halfback. I think that's a joke, to be honest, but I could be proven wrong. We'll see how that goes. But Luke McDonald sort of plays a Jake Lloyd role. Could be. I did read on Big Footy, someone made the observation that Reece Shaw was at Sydney, right? And he saw Jake Lloyd play that role. So he's pretty much given Luke McDonald the Jake Lloyd role. Aiden Core also might take a few kickouts. That's a slight concern. That is why I have his average down a little bit. I have him at 107. I'm a big fan of the Luke McDonald pick. The competitiveness, the work ethic, just the way he plays. yeah, I'm a big fan. So for that reason, I think he can actually do better as well. So yeah, I've done a full video on McDonald, and yeah, really excited to see what he can produce this year. So third, I have Lockheed Whitfield. And with Lockheed Whitfield, I know some people are a little bit hesitant to start him just because of his frame seems to cop a few injuries here and there. Never really had soft tissue injuries that I can recall anyway. But yeah, Lockheed Whitfield playing, I presume, halfback this year. I did read training he was playing halfback. But yeah, can play kind of anywhere, and he's one of those players where he doesn't really matter where he plays, he's gonna score well. It's just his running capacity is pretty much probably top 3 in the league. Right? So yeah, pretty rare player, Lockheed Whitfield. Uses the ball really well, gets involved in scoring chains, or score assists, for example, for Supercoach. So I'm a big fan of the Lockheed Whitfield pick. There's definitely upside in this pick, and you have to remember from last year, he actually didn't have a full preseason. So this year he's having a full preseason. I really think the upside of Lockheed Whitfield, I think it is a little dangerous not to start him just because of how good he can be. And you know, he's been a premium for years. So yeah, I don't see why not really. So at number 2, I have Rory Laird. And you know, as a Crow supporter, I feel like I have a decent read on this pick. Training with the midfield group this year. I've said in my video where Laird wasn't playing well when he was playing at halfback. I know some people might be concerned that he's playing at halfback, that he could be moved to halfback, and even if he does, he probably just averages low 90s there anyway. But yeah, Nicks did not like him at halfback, so moved him half forward and then in the midfield, and the midfield's kind of stuck. I know Brodie Smith saying on Twitter that he's kind of pumping up Laird's tires a little bit, which is great. But yeah, with Laird, really good at the contested ball, really good at hunting the footy, tackles, and yeah, just has really high football IQ, I think, or good football instincts. So always just seems to find where the ball is. But yeah, I think predominantly he's going to be played as a midfielder. He's out of contract. I'm slightly worried that he's going to dominate in the midfield. Maybe dominate's a bit of a stretch, but I think he's going to have an All-Australian squad caliber season in the midfield. But yeah, what I saw from him, you know, he dropped to 180 last year as well. So I have enormous confidence in Rory Laird, and I think you almost have to pick him. I have him at 110 average. I actually think he can do slightly better than that. He did better than that last year, although it was a smaller sample size and a shortened season, but longer games should suit him really. He just runs all day. And then also he had an improved time trial result this year, which is great. So for that reason, Laird I have as my number 2. So my number 1 defender for this year is, this will be no surprise, Jake Lloyd. Pretty much been the king of defence for years now. Plays halfback, intercepts, takes kickouts, kind of gets a lot of the ball behind stoppages as well. So there's no real reason not to. I mean, I guess he's very expensive this year, but yeah, he's a very consistent footballer, doesn't really drop bad scores, and yeah, huge work ethic from what I've read over the past few years. So look, there's not really much to say on Jake Lloyd. Just we have to make sure he's fully fit, and there were times with that I think he was moved onto a wing for like 1 or 2 games over the past few years. Not very often. Maybe under a new coach that will happen, but under Horse seems to love Jake Lloyd in that role. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll get that role that he usually plays. So that's my list. So I have in order. So I have Lloyd at 114 average. I think it'll drop back a little bit because of the back to longer quarters. So I have Jake Lloyd 1, Laird, Whitfield, McDonald, Luke Ryan, and Brodie Maynard. So probably honourable mention, there's quite a few, but I think the main one is Tom Stewart. Seems a pretty solid option every year now, dual All-Australian. So yeah, he's a bit stiff there. A few up-and-coming picks. Zach Williams could get near the mark. I'm not a believer in the Zach Williams pick, to be honest. I have a few doubts of that. I have a video on that. And yeah, as well, his durability is always going to be an issue. So the guys I mentioned have reasonable durability, and all of them I think have high ceilings. All of them can do better than what they have in previous years, I think. Maybe Jake Lloyd can do equal to what he did at his best anyway. So thanks for watching, and let me know what your top 6 is, or if you disagree. But yeah, plenty more videos to come, and thanks for watching.